Foster Youth in Schools, a presentation by Lillet and Lindsay in partial fulfillment of the requirements for University of La Verne. How is a child placed into foster care? When a child experiences abuse or neglect that is substantiated by an investigative agency, long-term parental illness, or incarceration of a parent, or when a parent voluntarily relinquishes his or her parental rights, the State Child Welfare Agency recommends that the child either be removed from the home or remain in the home with supportive services. If the agency determines that the child should be placed in foster care, there is a preliminary protective hearing with a judge. If the judge decides that the child has been abused or neglected, the case proceeds to a dispositional hearing. Once a child is educated, the family, the child, and his or her parent or parents becomes involved with the juvenile or family court. The judge grants legal custody to a child welfare agency, and the family is assigned a caseworker who is responsible for developing a case plan. The case plan outlines the steps the parent or parents must take to be reunited with the child. Throughout this process, the judge and the child welfare agency are charged with acting in the best interest of the child. Although there is no universal definition for this term, it generally refers to the deliberation that courts undertake when deciding what types of services, actions, and orders will best serve a child, as well as who is best suited to take care of that child. In what ways can a school or school district promote academic success for children in foster care? Schools and child welfare agencies can adopt policies that ease the school transitions of children in foster care and improve their chances of academic success. Here are a few examples of those. One would be a policy that addresses how school transportation costs will be paid for. A policy that ensures immediate enrollment even if there are missing required educational, health, or special education records. A policy that expedites convening a special education meeting if the child needs to receive services immediately through an IEP. And a policy that information sharing that clarifies what information can be shared about the child and with whom, as well as guidelines that outline the roles and responsibilities of support staff and foster care parents. Some additional strategies that schools and school districts can employ to promote educational stability and academic success for children in foster care would be things such as hold regular meetings with an education team of school staff and staff from other agencies involved with the child, such as a caseworker, teacher, guidance counselor, a mentor, to discuss the children's educational progress and needed resources and services. And the original school district should expedite any school records so the child may be quickly enrolled into the new school, and so that staff could identify any special services or resources that the child may require, as well as identify a school staff person whom the youth can talk to about any problems or concerns. And if the child has fallen behind his grade level, it is important to provide partial credit or opportunities to make up those credits, or maybe even assign a tutor. It is important to reduce out of school time by referring the child to school-based health and mental health services, and build time into the child's schedule to make up work he or she may have missed when out of school for health, mental health care appointments, as well as visits with their biological parents, siblings, and caseworkers. Case managers are required to develop a case management plan as soon as a child comes into foster care. The case management plan typically covers an assessment of needs of the child and the family and a plan to meet these needs, including coordinating linkages to healthcare, social and emotional support, and other services. The case manager tracks and monitors the progress of the child and the family. The Fostering Care Connections to Success in Increasing Adoption Act of 2008 mandates that case management plans for foster care youth must include an educational plan that addresses educational stability. When the school and the child welfare agency jointly develop the education plan for a child in foster care, the likelihood of educational stability is enhanced. How are foster children in California doing? A team from West Ed led a groundbreaking report in 2013 entitled The Invisible Achievement Gap. In the report, it found that California teachers and administrators were not aware if students were in the foster care system. Thus, they did not have a way to monitor their progress or support their efforts towards academic success. The report also found that these foster care students had the poorest academic performance, highest dropout rate, and the lowest graduation rate of any group attending public schools. The report had a significant impact. By the time it was published, its widely anticipated findings helped prompt Governor Jerry Brown and the legislature to include the foster students in a landmark school funding and accountability law called the Local Control Funding Formula. This law, for the first time, required school districts to count foster students and track their progress. The law also provided districts additional funds based on the number of low-income students, English learners, and foster students they served. Homeless children were later added as the fourth high-needs group. This law requires each district to prepare a local control and accountability plan detailing how they will use the funds to serve the four high-needs groups, including foster students. But it's been said that some districts treat the high-needs students as a single group and don't dedicate funds specifically for foster students. Some districts have chosen to use these extra funds they have received to hire case managers to work with foster students. In a 2018 report by the Los Angeles County Civil Grand Jury, reached similar conclusions, which spelled out in the report's titles, Funding Formula Fails Fosters. The report noted 5 of the 10 districts it looked at developed significant programs for foster students and allocated substantial amounts of funding for them. But because the extra funding need not be spent directly on foster students, the report asserted that the local control funding formula underrepresents the needs of foster students. For all of its promises, the local control funding formula law has also not succeeded in changing the key metrics on which students and school districts are evaluated. On the Smarter Balanced Standardized Tests, foster children's scores have nudged up slightly since they were first demonstrated 4 years ago, but have stayed at basically the same level for the past 3 years and remain far behind state averages, as you could see on this chart with the information that was provided by the California Department of Education. And you can see in this chart how are foster children doing in California when it comes to chronic absences, suspension rate, graduation rates in the year of 2018, and you can see that they are substantially higher in absences and suspension than all other children, and substantially lower in a graduation rate as compared to other children.